Wow, this sucks. I miss when the Yankees would win more often than they would lose. It doesn't appear that that's what's happening right now, Gary. They have lost, 7 of their last 8?
Yeah, we're right back to it.
I mean, you got guys beating them upside the head that weren't on the team. Were on the team that aren't anymore. Like Gary Sanchez. I mean, everyone should have known. I should have put all my money on all of Gary Sanchez doing whatever because he always hits well against the Yankees. But
us to be embarrassed by our old friends?
Gary Sanchez, Clint Frazier. No, you don't adjust your TV sets. He did not play today, but he did speak today, and we're going to talk about that. He was loud. I will preface by saying this. I'm a huge Clint Frazier fan. I think there should be more people like him that are not afraid to just yell what they have to say and be straight shooters, because I like what he said today, and I mean, he said something else about a certain somebody that came on our show, so I don't agree with that because, we like Randy. But, yeah, everything aside from that, I'm actually pro Clint Frazier. I loved him on the Yankees. But, yeah, we're going to get into it. Before we do, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, do all that jazz. No pun intended, of course, because Jazz Chisum is one of the only dudes on this team that can hit right now. It seems like consistently. But yeah, we're going to talk about it. Don't worry. I know some of you want to talk about the replay review being abysmal and everyone being just utter potatoes behind the plate. We'll talk about that. But Gary has a pressing thing he wants to discuss, and that is the lineup, because Gary and I didn't notice it at first. So full disclosure, I did not notice Cody Bellinger wasn't in the lineup because I didn't even fathom that could even be an option. When I send the lineup to Gary every day, like as soon as it comes out, I have the push notifications on. I'm a fiend with that. So I send it over to him, and he's so quick-witted and quick with it that I don't even get a chance to fully process what I sent over. And he's already like, "Where's Cody Bellinger?" And all I'm thinking is, wow, yeah, so this lineup looks interesting. Jazz is cleanup. Stanton's hitting 5th, and he's just like, no Cody Bellinger? Like, instantly. And I didn't even think about that. No Bellinger, no Ben Rice. But Trent Grisham continues to get burned. And it's weird to me because Bellinger had 3 hits yesterday. And if I recall correctly, there were a few people in our comments section. I think half of those few people were making a joke that said he's going to sit Bellinger tomorrow because he's hot.
Same joke that they said about Giancarlo Stanton, which we understood a little bit more coming back from injury. Yeah. Jake, when you sent me this text, I felt like I almost had a stroke. A lineup-induced stroke. Mind you,
insane.
I don't even blame you for having not noticed Cody Bellinger was in this lineup.
I just assumed.
And the only reason I say that, this is the only reason I say it. You don't know where certain players are hitting in the lineup anyway. So it's actually harder to figure out who's playing and who's sitting on this team. Harder than any other team in baseball.
You got to study it.
Cody Bellinger could be hitting 2. Probably don't expect him to be at leadoff. He could be hitting 4th. We've seen him at 5. You don't know where he's going to be. Judge could be hitting in the 2 spot. All of a sudden, Bellinger's in the 3. Or Bellinger, after a hot day, just out of lineup. Mind you guys, for those of you who look at our lineup, a lot of times people say, well, maybe Aaron Boone decided this was just going to be Bellinger's day off. Maybe this day was already penciled in and they had understood hot streaks be damned, cold streaks be damned. We're going to give him this day. So I went ahead and did the research before we went live. I had to find out the data. Cody Bellinger sat June 14th. That is 6 days ago. 6 days ago. And he sits anyways. So to coincide essentially with what Clint Frazier was saying is that the Yankees don't buy into hot streaks. They just don't. They tend to look at the analytics, the numbers, the data to suggest who should play. And it's just crazy to me when we look at Jason Dominguez, who played today, right? And you say, what is Jason Dominguez good at? And you say, well, he hits right-handed pitching. He can't hit left-handed pitching because he's got to hit right-handed. So we had the whole argument about should he switch hit, should he not? And so you ask yourself, does Jason Dominguez play every single time there's a right-handed pitcher? The answer is no. If you watch the Yankees every day, you'll see right-handed arms pitching, and you will see Jason Dominguez out of lineup in place of for Grisham, for Bellinger, for Judge, and you won't see him in there at all, not even at DH. And so my takeaway, Cody Bellinger didn't play today because it's simply a rotation. He didn't need a physical day off. He didn't need a mental day off. Aaron Boone in the postgame says, and this is a quote, by the way, Aaron Boone says he will likely give Anthony Vulpi a day off this weekend. Now, mind you, I'll digress. This is him saying he's been so bad, I believe in cold streaks. I'm going to give him a day to reset. Well, why don't you take your own advice and play the hot hitter? Cody Bellinger, Jazz Chisum, Giancarlo Stanton, the names are starting to go on of players you should be able to trust to hit right now. In this losing streak, the only players who should be touching the field to get you out of this are the players who are producing. I have no idea how Cody Bellinger finds his way out of the lineup. He's going to sit on Friday, and then we're going to go into Saturday. We're going to go into the weekend. And then you're going to put Cody Bellinger in the lineup and just assume he's going to bring Thursday's production back out there for the weekend. This is tomfoolery. It is malpractice. Again, I don't even know what to think of Aaron Boone at this point because of what Clint Frazier was saying was that he doesn't make these lineups. It's a bunch of goons, right? A bunch of goobers in the analytics department were creating the lineup. Do I think it's slightly exaggerated? I do, because I think that Aaron Boone should have the authority to make these lineups and override total nonsense. Cody Bellinger not playing, Jake, is just garbage.
I can't one up any of that. That's really, I mean, hats off to Gary. Very well done. Very nice little rant there.
Thank you. I was hoping I didn't look up and see that we'd already been going for 25 minutes because I was that mad. I don't get it. Jake, I mean, do you feel like this was a day that he felt like, okay, Grisham's defense, Dominguez has got to play at some point? It just seems, doesn't it seem like Boone is like, okay, Dominguez hasn't played here in a bit. He probably should just play tomorrow. And then whoever's sitting in his place,
Grisham.
Play him over Trent Grisham. But they clearly like Trent Grisham. I would say this. As long as the name, if you're going to put someone in the lineup that I maybe wouldn't put in the lineup, at least have that hitter be hitting at the time, right? Trent Grisham, while he was hitting that first month and some change, if you want to pencil him in every day, I'll get out your way. I'm just a podcaster. I don't know Jack. I'll let you do your job. But when I'm watching a player like Jason Dominguez, by the way, poor defender, hasn't been hitting of late. Cody Bellinger is our best defender, our literal best defender on the entire baseball team. He can play anywhere. He's a hot hitter of late, and he's the guy you sat today. Are we trying to win today's game, or what's this about? What are we trying to do here? I don't get it, Jake. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's some quotes here from Clint Frazier. Quote, I feel like they hired a few too many rocket scientists to try and make the lineup, end quote. That's from Foul Territory TV. Of course, he went on there to talk about it. He said the analytics write the lineup. Mm-hmm. They, quote, believe you are what you are, end quote, believe you are lucky, not good. So, obviously understand, while I was giving Clint Frazier praise, I'm also going to reel this in and be realistic here and defend the Yankees to an extent. Clint Frazier didn't exactly work out in New York. Now, for whatever reason, I'm not saying it was his fault. He had some unfortunate issues with the concussion. Like, I don't know why it didn't work out. But the point being, it didn't work out. So this is, in a sense, kind of like an ex-employee bagging on an ex-employer. And man, do I have an ex-employer I could do that to. So I understand where he'd be coming from. But I also think it didn't really feel like sour grapes. It felt like he was trying to just spill the tea that no one has been willing to spill. So I didn't quite hate the way this came off. And I actually liked it was kind of an inside thing. And it does speak effort. and volume to what we've been saying about how like Rodriguez hasn't been called up and, guys like that. So I think there's a lot of truth here. Now, keep this in mind. Frazier was there a while ago. Okay. So things have changed, I do believe. And I still will stand by this. I think Boone does make the lineup. I am not going to take away credit, that he deserves when he makes a good lineup, but I'm also not going to suppress the negativity and, essentially the criticism that he deserves when he makes a lineup like today. The lineup
So what do you
wasn't
think
bad.
happened today? What do you think Boone,
I think he overthinks it. I think
what's there to think about?
He gets cute. I've seen this before with Sean McVay. Perfect example. Okay. You have the game plan to stop a team. This team sucks in the red zone. They can't stop the run. So what are you going to do? You're going to throw it because you're expecting them to know that you're going to run against their disadvantage, right? That is what he does. Well, with Boone, it's almost like they're expecting me to play Bellinger today. I'm going to zig while they zag. And it's not the fans. I feel like it is the team. I feel like he's trying to, in a sense, play around with what has been a 16-game stretch of no off day, which, by the way, has really, in my opinion, exposed the Yankees as a team that has a lot of depth, for sure. But it is a bad problem to have because during this 16 games, what has that depth amounted to? We've just seen guys be taken out of their rhythm. We watched Aaron Judge, the best hitter on planet Earth. He literally sat 8 innings of a game, pinch hit in the 9th, and was completely gone for the last 24 at-bats, and now he's starting to get back.
Night and day difference, by the way. Aaron Judge is not even the same. He's not the same player. And now we're starting to see it. He's hitting the ground again. It's Aaron Judge. He's going to figure it out.
And this is the thing.
So it seems like we're playing musical chairs here. I understand what they're trying to sell me, right? Because this is a product. You're going to put the players on the field, and then your job is to win, and then in turn, it'll entertain us. We'll spend thousands of dollars, right? People will listen to a bunch of podcasts, and you're trying to win. But I really beg to question, when you show up to the yard and you're not playing your 9 best guys. You know this because you're doing a rotation. Right now, Aaron Boone apparently he thinks he has the task of having Jason Dominguez stay hot, right? He needs to make sure that Trent Grisham, a guy that he put confidence in at the beginning of the year, that's got to continue, right? He's got to continue that. He also has to make sure he's got Aaron Judge anchored out in right field. Cody Bellinger, your best defender, yeah, he's also got to get it going. So he thinks he has to keep all this at work. No, you don't. Your job as manager every single day is to put the best players on the field. And if they need a rest, we're not going to get on your back because they need a rest. But I know one thing, Cody Bellinger sat 5 days ago. He doesn't need a day off. I know that. I know that I can look at his tenure with the Cubs. I can look at his tenures with the Dodgers. And at no point with either of these teams will he have sat as much as he sits on this team. And we've talked about how much production we're getting. Now, did the Yankees simply lose today because Cody Bellinger didn't play? I hate doing that. I wouldn't do it. But I will tell you, Alex Rodriguez brings up a beautiful point, and then we're going to get to some of our supers. We don't want to fall behind again. But Alex brings up when they mention what was the difference between that 09 team and a lot of the years past or some of the years you saw in the future, what's the difference between the new school Yankees and the old school? And the number one thing he can come up with, and mind you, this is a guy who knows baseball. He said, when you show up to the yard and you have no idea where you're hitting in the lineup, or if you're going to play at all and it's just going to be musical chairs, it's hard to get acclimated in a role. It's just difficult. Now, mind you, us fans, I guess we don't matter about what we feel about the lineup, but one of your best players in the history of your franchise has that to say, and you're going to hop on the post game and say, Anthony Vulpi needs a day off because I believe that he's cold and he needs to reset. You're telling me that you're going to introduce the idea of a cold streak, but then you're going to watch your players be hot, as Clint Frazier put it, and you're going to ignore that. And then it's going to cost you. So very disappointing. The 6'10 Stig with the 5. Thank you for that. says, answer to the question, modern analytics do not believe in hot, cold streaks, only statistics over time. It is literally that simple. Front office makes this lineup. So Jake, I really want to ask you, because I need an answer to this. If this super chat is true, and Clint Frazier's suggesting this is what the Yankees believe, you've mentioned it's maybe somewhat changed, but here's my question. If modern analytics dictates what we're doing on the Yankees today, then why would Anthony Vulpi need a day off if they already know who he is? It's just randomness, right? He's 0 for his last 24 because of bad luck or just a slide. What are they going to sell me?
Well, and what analytics are they using to say that Volpe's an everyday player, a guy that hasn't finished a season, his first 2 seasons, with an OPS above 700?
They've told me it's defense, right?
Yeah, but his defense sucks this year. Sucks. Okay.
What did the analytics say? Because I actually did pull it up, and I know what they're going to say. I can pull it up for you. I mean, you could just go to Baseball Savant. Anyone can go to Baseball Savant, and it will show you.
He's barely above average. That's not. I mean, no,
he's not. His fielding run value is a 39. It is blue.
39th percentile. Negative fielder right now. Negative.
Just for those of you who are looking for an analytical, if you needed something statistic to cling on to, again, this is not the Holy Bible. This isn't Corinthians. But when someone tells you that a player who's a career 220 hitter, right? He's got pop. He still strikes out a ton. He's not as fast as you thought he was. But he plays every single day. Why? Well, Michael K brought it up on his podcast yesterday, or ESPN or something. Well, he brings it up and he says, well, obviously you're getting Gold Glove defense in his rookie season. The theory is that Anthony Vulpi plays every single day because Boone loves his glove. That's the gist of it, right? The bat is streaky, and that'll come and go. He's at the bottom of the lineup. We can let it slide as long as that glove comes out there. And we've seen the spectacular plays. But a lot of us said, doesn't feel like he makes the average play, Jake. And then you look up at the analytics, it's exactly what it says. The analytics, something that they clinged on to sell this player to me, that he's the future of the Yankees, 39th percentile defensively. That is not good, Jake.
Yeah, and I see a lot of Jazz disrespect in the comments, and I'm confused. Because
what's the takeaway on that? What are you seeing?
Well, I just see Jazz sucks. Jazz is too busy rapping. Jazz is everything wrong with the team. Okay, let me just read you some stats, right?
Sure.
He's hitting 340 in the month of June. He has a 418 on base percentage, a 574 slugging, and a 993 OPS. Okay. He's got 3 home runs. He needs to be leading off. Because guess what? I hate to break it to you. We haven't really brought up his name much because we understood why he's not on the team. Although I did express my interest of bringing him back. I'm talking about Glabber Torres. One thing about Glabber that was so underappreciated, and Brian Cashman genuinely deserves to be called out for it, is the fact that this team did not have a leadoff hitter last year. Did not. They started off with Glabber. It didn't work. We were talking about a leadoff hitter until August, and then Glabber came in and ended up being a top 3 leadoff hitter in baseball and continued in the postseason.
He was great after the benching. That's correct.
So my thing here is obviously you can't change the past, and I do get why they moved on from him, even though that contract was very doable and they easily could have brought him back. I always said I felt they overrated his defensive woes, because I do feel like, yes, he makes errors. I'm aware of that, but people act like he doesn't have any sort of range and doesn't make any sort of plays, which I also don't believe to be true. So my point in bringing up Glabber is this. Glabber was hitting, he had a 360 on base. I think at one point it went up to 400 down the stretch with that, we're talking that span.
His on base was over 400 for a significant portion after the benching.
Insane.
He was great. Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest cause, the root cause of this team struggling offensively all of a sudden? It's very simple. they don't have a leadoff hitter. Think about this. We noticed this has actually been the issue with the offense all along. It kind of dawned on me today. Paul Goldschmidt has fallen off a cliff. He just has, right? He is not the same player he was earlier, in May and April, okay? He just dropped below 300. He was sitting in the 350s at one point, okay? Paul Goldschmidt's one of their leadoff hitters. He's fallen off. Trent Grisham. We loved watching Trent Grisham when he had that Matt Carpenter, I joked, Jeremy Lin run, right? Well, it's gone now. So now you don't have a leadoff hitter. Now you are exactly what you were last year before Glabber emerged in August. The only difference is you don't have Glabber Torres this year. So who is going to be your leadoff hitter? It's going to be either Jazz or Cody Bellinger, or you're going to have to move and try and find somebody, because I don't believe that they have a leadoff hitter on this roster if it's not Jazz Chisum or Cody Bellinger. I'm sorry. I don't believe that to be the case. When you look at Jazz hitting 418 on base, I think it's fair to give him a chance. I think it's fair to give Cody a chance. But that brings me to my next point. These two players I just mentioned, Jazz Chisum and Cody Bellinger, they are mainstays. They need to be in the lineup every night unless something is wrong physically, like they're injured, okay? End of story. Anthony Vulpi is not a mainstay. Not with a 39 percentile glove. No. And he's now 0 for 24? No. He's not a mainstay.
He's acceptably streaky. People now describe him
as
pathetic.
A
streaky player. He's not a power hitter. He's just not.
Yeah.
And I know people say, well, he's going to hit 20 homers. You mentioned to me he's on pace for like 110 hits this year. That is not good at all. No. That essentially tells me that every time you touch the ball, you're trying to hit a home run. When you get on base, you can't steal bases. The numbers, guys, don't listen to me like I'm Jesus. I'm not the truth here. The numbers are the truth. Look at the numbers. It will tell you how many times does this guy attempt to steal bags. Okay, and how many times does he make it? Read those numbers. It'll tell you the story of how imposing a base runner is. Well, if Anthony Volpe getting to first base isn't immediately an angle of attack for the Yankees to go about their business, why would he try to hit singles? He's not a speed guy. He's getting thrown out on the base pass all the time. He's making errors in the clutch all the time. He's third in Major League Baseball in errors at short. That's terrible. It's not good at all. So my thing is that when you mention leadoff hitters, I wanted to address this because I think it's really good. When you're talking about, well, Cody Bellinger potentially could be up at leadoff, maybe Jazz Chisum, I think what you're assessing is hot streaks, right? Mm-hmm. Those guys absolutely should be penciled in every single day, especially when they're hot. But here's what I think. I believe neither of those players, based on their career numbers and how they go about their business offensively, I don't think either of them are a leadoff hitter. I think the Yankees need to go outside the organization and acquire someone that you pencil in every single day at the leadoff position, and you leave him there. The Yankees need to make a habit of looking up at their lineup card every day and saying, well, he's going to play over there. He's going to hit right there. He's going to play right there. He's going to tweak, and we're going to tweak the lineup small throughout the season. He's not playing well. Let's get somebody else in there who can do the job. And that's the way we need to go about this. But clearly, they don't want to make that adjustment. They want to continue to look up, and you see Paul Goldschmidt leading off. Tomorrow, he's going to hit third. And then you've got someone, Grisham, leading off. It's random. It's honestly totally random. Some people call it analytics. I call it musical chairs. It is disgusting. I hate it with everything in my being. John with the super with the 2 says, Baboon the clown has no idea what he's doing. And again, guys, I guess
never get over the baboon.
I know. People are putting some stock in the fact that Boone has more control than people think. I agree with that. Jake, I agree with your point. I think Aaron Boone is doing this. I don't think it's the analytics. I don't. I think Aaron Boone is just guessing. He's saying, well,
we saw
I can't sit Jason Dominguez.
He just threw Jason Dominguez lead off and was like, all right, we're done with that. Like, what was
guys,
that? What was that?
Thank you for bringing that up. He said, well, Jason Dominguez is hitting leadoff today. The reason being is I just felt like it was right. And the reason I say that is because of what he's quality at, right? And Jake, you've mentioned this somewhat, is that he takes on good at bats. He takes quality at bats against right-handed pitching. He's got the speed you're looking for, and you say, oh, hey, he's starting to sell me on this idea. He's trying to work at something. Maybe he's trying to move up Jason Dominguez to the leadoff spot, right? Some energy. What was he doing the next day? Oh, yeah, he's hitting eighth. Eighth. It's just nonsense and it's guesswork. It's hard to watch. It genuinely is.
Yeah, and I think there needs to be kind of a brought back down to reality with Trent Grisham. Like, the stats look great. They do. They still look really good. The 344 on base percentage, the OPS, I get that. I do. The home runs, all of it. That's not what you're getting right now. So he should never be in the top of the second, really? Like, I just think, I mean, I'm not even worried about Jazz, because the thing about Jazz Chisum that I find hilarious, right? Everyone's biggest issue is that they say he doesn't hit well situationally. That's the guy I want to lead off.
Yeah, take the situation out of it. Let him be the table setter.
You're saying he struggles when guys are on base, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I understand what people are trying to say, right? I think there are some moments people have cherry-picked, but he also comes through like he's had these moments. But if that's what you believe, Chisum should be your leadoff hitter. He right now, he has a 341 on base percentage for the year. Okay, you could make the argument this is the best he's ever been as a player, and that is coming off one of the worst stretches to start a season I've ever seen from a player. So
he was horrible. Yeah,
he has never, understand this, he's never had an on base percentage over 325. Okay, never. So this is essentially the best year he has had, in my opinion. And I mean, if he didn't get hurt, I mean, he'd probably be on pace to have a career high home runs, which he had last year. He's a player that's getting better. He's 27. He'll be 28 next February, but he's 27 right now. He is in his prime, and you are seeing a comfortable player that likes playing third base. This is the guy that you should be leaning on, in my opinion. And he's got the speed, right? He's already told you he's not afraid to do the 70% swing. That's all I'm asking for. You need to get a guy on base. Today, it was unacceptable. There were a few times where they couldn't get anybody. Trent Grisham couldn't get on base. Aaron Judge is up with nobody on, and you're down 2. Okay, there has to be a guy on base when Aaron Judge is coming to the plate. You're just leaving runs on the board. So
hey, you know who did get on base yesterday ahead of Aaron Judge? Cody Bellinger. That's the whole concept of having, when you create a lineup and you say, well, who's going to lead off for me? Okay, well, he should have either a high on base percentage, or he should be a guy who can table set and he can score himself. Schwarber, or a dude with an on base near 400, right? That's the ideal fit.
You know,
and then
why?
You look up and say, what?
You know why he won't do this, by the way?
Why?
Boone. I just realized Jazz is a lefty, right?
Okay.
So because I still feel like he wants to hit him second, but he's trying to hit him third. He'd be like,
why? Because the two-hitter has to be a lefty?
No,
two-hitter
the
has to be a lefty
two-hitter
in
has
front
to
of
be
Judge?
a righty if
Why?
the lefty is a leadoff hitter. What doesn't make sense, and understand where I'm coming from with this. You know how we were talking about, oh yeah, like when Goldschmidt was doing well and Trent Grisham was doing well, you can do, the leadoff platoon because Goldschmidt isn't great, against righties and whatever, right?
Sure.
And he's the best against lefties, and then Grisham's really good against righties. You know who doesn't have that issue? The reverse split guys, Jazz Chisum and Cody Bellinger. So you don't have to continue to mix around your lineup. You can do what A-Rod's brought up and have the same lineup and have consistency and know who's going to be hitting ahead of you, know who's on base. Because whether you think about it or not, if Aaron Judge is at the plate, and like a good example today for like the Orioles, for instance, you saw, I don't know how I just forgot his name, Gary Sanchez. Mm-hmm. Look at how much weight Gary Sanchez has on him, right? I don't have to worry and be cognizant of this dude stealing third. So I now have free reign in my at bat. We talked about this the other day with Vulpi. Jason Dominguez gets off to a huge jump, and he's easily stealing third. Vulpi swings at a pitch outside the zone and fouls it off.
That's surprising.
Do you know what people were saying on social media?
No, I didn't. What'd they say?
He's battling. No. This is where I invite people to look at the minute detail. And what you'll find is that Jason Dominguez was putting himself in a position to try and win a baseball game going to third. Okay? Vulpi swings at a pitch, costs him the stolen base, and then, of course, now you don't have that opportunity, right? Because then that's the same at bat. He ends up hitting it right at Jason Dominguez. But guess what? He gets tagged out. If Jason Dominguez steals third and Vulpi, doesn't swing at that pitch, he's easily in there. And that hit to the third base side, you're still alive. He probably doesn't score because it went to the third base side, but you're still alive. You have another out. The problem was we talked about being bad luck. Fine, but it was set up by poor mechanics, poor fundamentals. So
I don't think I've seen either of those players, by the way, give me nearly enough. I think people are trying to sell me on Vulpi. They're trying to sell me on Dominguez. Jason Dominguez hasn't done anything outside of that 3-homer game, which obviously we covered it, right? We were excited about it. We should be.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you guys are trying to sell me. By the way, because I do hear a lot of chatter. I mean, you've kind of talked about it. You've introduced the idea of Grisham. Like, why does Grisham, he was at the top of the lineup, right? And then sometimes you see him ninth. He had a home run the other day, hitting ninth. In my opinion, Trent Grisham is still a better player right now than Jason Dominguez. He's just a better player. You bring in the defense and you bring in that factor of the game. I personally think Trent Grisham right now is a better player. I just do. And mind you, that's not me saying that Dominguez in a year and a half won't be a far better player. Of course that can happen. But what is Jason Dominguez doing on a day-to-day basis? He's not even playing enough to establish that he's worth playing or being one of the top 3 guys in the outfield. So you should just play the top 3 guys. And if Trent Grisham goes ice cold and you say, okay, I've solidified that Grisham is not going to chase away from the means again, right? And Grisham in his last 7 games, he's hitting .230, right? With pop. So would I be getting more out of Dominguez? I personally don't think so. I don't. I think Dominguez probably gets more hits, but he's not slugging. It's not like he's putting the ball in the seats often. So I don't know. I just think it's difficult. The defense is atrocious.
What was that today?
Well,
he tried to pick the ball up with his glove.
It's just what happens. It's Nelson Cruz defensively with .230 and not a ton of pop offensively. And the hope that it'll develop into something electric. That's all it is. So that's why he plays. He's not playing because of what he does on the field. It has nothing to do with that. Wolfie is asking about the division. We'll answer this real quick. It says, who wins the division? Yankees or Rays? I still think the Yankees outrun Tampa. I don't think they have enough. Now, we've seen crazier things in baseball, right? We've let division leads slip away. There's a lot of baseball to be played. We assume the Yankees will get better at some point, probably around the deadline. But yeah, Jake,
they beat Detroit tonight, by the way. 1.5 back. So
yeah, nobody had that.
14 runs. But it is a reminder it's baseball. Anything can happen.
Right. And Moon Pearls with the 10. Thank you for that. Thank you for getting involved in the podcast. Says Goldie leadoff against a righty. Belly off day after 3 knocks. No Rice against a left-handed pitcher. Feels like Boone doesn't know what to do with the lineup. Anyways, what are your guys' thoughts on Pusha T diss? I have no thoughts whatsoever. Is this the same person who asked us about our favorite albums? I have a feeling. Do you remember that? They're like, by the way, what do you think about The Shift? And who's your favorite album? Do you remember that super chat we had?
Wasn't it like a specific one, though? It was like a favorite album by like a certain... Who was the one who was like Johnny Pizza or something?
I don't know. But
or like the Yankees song by like that dude. I don't even remember. We got like some funny super chats.
I have zero opinion on Pusha T's diss. I have none whatsoever. I don't care about it. It's just music. But in baseball, yeah, we've talked about what do the Yankees do at leadoff? What do they do against left-handed pitching? Can you trust Ben Rice? Can you not? I actually don't care if Boone makes the decision to sit Ben Rice against lefties. as long as the numbers suggest to do so. As long as there's that. If he's not performing against something, I'm not going to force you to trust something that's not there yet, that hasn't been developed yet. But you know what has been developed? Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger has been an MVP in this league. He doesn't need a day off after 4 days. I promise you. So very frustrating. I don't even know what to say about Boone's control of the lineup. If he's making the lineup, and I'd imagine if I asked him, he'd probably tell us that he does. I'm trying to track your thought process. What's the thought process here other than I've just got to keep guys on their toes, which is obviously a ridiculous concept. It sucks.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest issue is when Bellinger's out and Rice is out. That's 2 of your 5 best hitters, 6 best hitters, you know? I don't understand that. I don't, like, maybe you get that. I don't. Because, like, I don't know. I
Please,
think
this is all totally over my head. I'm just a podcaster. I don't know anything. I clearly, after podcasting with this team all of last year, right, Jake, we did the whole year.
Yeah.
We did, including the postseason. We went to a World Series.
This is
and
true.
Yet, I still, mind you, I'm starting to just understand you're going to find ways to get disappointed, especially when you watch a team every single day, you listen to a podcast about a team every single day. You're going to be disappointed because you look at the details. But how's it possible that a team, and these are just numbers, we say, oh, their offense has been underrated, right? The rankings say they've scored the 3rd most runs in baseball. This is like 2 weeks ago, before that Boston series started. They told us they had the 3rd ranked offense. Okay. Well, why would a team in the top 3 offensively be just jumbling around the 3-hitter, the 2-hitter, the leadoff hitter? How do they not have genuine answers on a day-to-day basis? That doesn't make sense. Every other team that you would call, Arizona Diamondbacks last year, they scored more runs than any other team. Yeah, they weren't changing who's hitting 2 every day. There wasn't, Corbin Carroll didn't jump from 8th to leadoff to 4th to 3rd. That didn't happen, right? Ketel Marte, same deal. So I just hope the Yankees, and I don't even know why I even use the word hope, because I'm a fool if I genuinely have hope that this will change. I think this is what it is. Mark with the 20. Thank you for that, Mark. Says 20-0 loss, 1-0 heartbreak. Boone again using typical, thought we had great at bats. Obviously, Mark listened to the post-game show because I've got the post-game just off to my left here. Says, was good to see language infuriating. Why can't we just light a fire for once? Again, with the insert hot player, let's bench him tactic. So, yeah, Jake, what do you think? Do you think it's going to take an old school manager to really get this team on track, or just on par with the idea? Like, just what's it going to take to get on board with the fact that we just need guys locked into certain positions? Do you think it's going to take a managerial change? Or do you think this is something that Boone just has to learn as a manager, and maybe it's possible?
Yeah, he's been here since 2018, but now I figured out.
I tried, so people can't say I'm against him, right? I was trying to see.
I'm not calling for his job. I'll say this. If they don't make it to the World Series, that's all I'm asking. Make it back to where you were last year. If they don't, I'm okay with them letting him go, relieving him of his duties, however you want to say it, PC, whatever. The way I see it like this, though, is he answers questions to the media like the players are in attendance listening. Like, he's like trying not to offend them. It's like, I'm sorry, but we're going to use our rippity-doo-dah comment here. Jazz Chisum, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton don't give a rippity-doo-dah if Aaron Boone says, yeah, we just were not good today. That's it. I've never once heard him say that. And like, to Mark's point, and again, I'm not calling for his job, and I actually defend him more often than not, but that's one where I can understand why people find it annoying. It's why I refuse to listen to those. I'll just get the quotes afterwards. I refuse to sit there and listen to, yeah, we had some good at-bats, and, I thought, DJ looked good today in the field. I don't need to hear this. Like, oh yeah, we ran the bases well. You lost. I don't give a shit.
It's a guilty displeasure. I promise you, every time you turn it on,
it's insulting to your intelligence. Because, and here's what I mean by that. It's like watching a politician, like you've said. Okay, you know they're lying to you. You know, they know they're lying to you. Yet they're just going to continue to lie. They're going to say whatever they need to say. Whatever's going to get them votes, whatever's going to get them donors, all of that, right? That's what it's like. Aaron Boone knows what he's saying is not enough to back up losing these games.
We could probably hire the governor of like New York to come create a lineup for the Yankees, and we'd probably get the same lineup every day. They'd go with like the typical names that should be there.
We should not be hiring the governor of New York.
Yeah. This is fair. This is all fair. From
somebody that lives in New York, we should not be doing that at all.
That's how bad the lineup construction is.
Yeah. I'll take Boone's lineup construction over Hochul's, but anyway.
I didn't even know who the hell it was. Isaiah with the 6. Thank you for that. I don't think we've ever seen a $6 super chat, so that's interesting. But thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Isaiah.
Thank you for that. It says benching your hot hitter is equivalent to icing a kicker. Yeah, it's like calling a timeout right when your kicker's ready to go. It just doesn't make sense. Obviously, the Yankees, as we've said before, they don't believe in hot or cold. The Yankees believe in refreshed or overused. It's as simple as that. And I think the reason for this, by the way, I think I finally tracked it. The light bulb just went off. It did. I believe Aaron Boone has PTSD from watching his players go down with injuries. Guys like Giancarlo Stanton, right? Players going down with injuries. And I'm not telling you guys that this is what it should be, okay? Let's make that perfectly clear. I will see a comment of someone saying, you're telling me? No. I'm telling you. I believe Aaron Boone thinks his number one task is how do we get these guys through 162 healthy so we're ready for the postseason, because more times than not, we make the postseason. So we'll just lose some games we shouldn't have lost. During the regular season, everyone will be pissed off at me, but we'll get into October most likely, and I have the best chance of keeping guys like Bellinger, keeping guys like Goldschmidt, Ben Rice, right, Stanton, all those guys on the field, if I just inexplicably take them off the field no matter how they're playing. I think that's it. So there's my genuine answer as to why we ice the kicker.
I'm going to also say this. When it comes to doing that, right, and you focus on health, wouldn't you do this not in the first game of a brand new series? They tell us how important it is to win series. We've talked about this. Why on the first game of a 3-game set against the Orioles, a team that you're actually losing the season series to right now, 3-1?
I didn't know that.
Why? And it's not like you're gonna have to be in a tiebreaker with them, but still, you don't want to lose the season series to the worst team in your division. That's total missed opportunity. Anyway, point being, why the first game of a 3-game set? Why? See, this is like, notice how Sunday is the day that they let Aaron Judge only play 1 inning as a pinch hitter. Remember that? They gave him Sunday against the Royals.
And we won that game 1-0, yeah.
Yep. Sunday is also the day that almost always Escar is going to play, right? Sundays, I'm pretty sure every Sunday, anytime Pablo Reyes started, I'm pretty sure it was a Sunday, okay? Peraza. Sunday is kind of the punt day, because Sunday, you're almost always ending a series, right?
See, guys, this is why you should go to church. Just go to church in the middle of the day, or whenever the Yankees play, just go to church and just miss the whole game. I promise you, it'll be the best choice you ever made.
So why? Because here's the thing. It's not even just about winning the series. It's the tone you set. So now you didn't have Bellinger today. You didn't have Ben Rice. One could look at this and be like, we have him tomorrow. Gee, that's great. You're already down 1-0 in the series. If this was a playoff series, you lose, you go home in the wild card. It's that simple. You only need to win 2 out of 3. So that's the thing, when it comes to, this, but also think about this. Gunnar Henderson and O'Hearn pinch hit today. They didn't have Adley Rutschman. I know he's struggling this year. They didn't have him, right? This was a team that pitched Sugano, who last time gave the Yankees fits. He had 8 strikeouts, a season high. He was walking guys. He was actually giving the Yankees base runners and opportunities. And, I hate to say this, but in the first inning, when they only came away with 2 runs, I had a weird feeling like that was the game. You don't just get a bases loaded opportunity back to back and only score 2 runs and win these type of games. They really should have done more. The Aaron Judge
Michael
home
Kay
run
said that too. I mean,
yeah,
I love that he did, because it's easy, especially when you're not scoring. It's easy to look at that and say, well, I guess we scored 1 or 2. That feels a lot better, right? Comparing it to what we've done, than maybe what it should be. And by the way, take a look at this super chat from Rocky Sullivan. Thank you for the 5, Rocky. Greatly appreciated. And this tees us up really for the conclusion here on what to think of this player. We're going to give it to you guys. Rocky says it's time to just say it. Anthony Vulpi is a bust. We need a new long-term answer at shortstop. So I'm not going to use the word choice bust just for the simple standpoint of I want to make my messaging more clear, because it's clear as day that when you go on social media and someone says that a player is a bust, that's essentially synonymous with this player just sucks all the time. And when I say a player sucks, that means they suck all the time. Their skill set is to a point where they're not going to give me a genuine output that I enjoy consistently. So that's my point.
I love the way you worded that.
Right. So if I look at Anthony Vulpi, here's exactly the player Vulpi is. Anthony Vulpi is a career, just go ahead and click in it, right? He's had over 1,400 at-bats. He's a career 228 hitter. His on-base percentage for his career is 291, right? His ops as a career is below league average. So the average player who goes up to the plate in Major League Baseball is a better hitter than Anthony Vulpi. And we're being sold that, well, he's going to hit 20 homers or something close to it. He can potentially drive in 90 runs, right? This is something, again, that Michael Kay has brought up, and this is all things that are true. He's not lying to you guys. That's true. But also, the defense, wildly overrated. It's not nearly as good as you thought it was. Take a look. If you guys believe the Yankees are as analytically driven, right, as everyone's told us they are, and we somewhat believe it, the analytics do not point to this player being a must play, a must start. So when we talk about it, what's happening here, Rocky, what's happening here, Jake, is that people want us to believe that we're ridiculous for wanting to look up. If you just Google top 10 shortstops in Major League Baseball, you're not going to see Anthony Vulpi in any make-believe list, regardless of the team he plays for. It just doesn't matter. They would never do so. So if you look up and you say, okay, I'm looking at a player who's consistently inconsistent. He's going to be ice cold for a month. If a player is streaky, also is not a power hitter, and he's not a good defender right now, why does he play? So Rocky says he's a bust in comparison to his expectations arriving to the league. Not expectations to be Jeter, expectations to be a very good player in this league. Below Jeter, we understand that. He's not living up to those expectations. He's simply not. And people can obviously stretch what I've said. They can do that. But I feel like I've said it as clear as I possibly can.
Yeah, I don't think Volpe's a bust because I think a bust is, let's just say this. If the Yankees traded him tomorrow, he's a bust. He was a bust for the Yankees. He didn't work out, right? That solidifies that. But as long as he's starting and he's still young, I think the jury's still out. It's just we tend to have an idea of what the jury's going to say, right? And I think that the thing about Vulpi is that he is getting better each year. If you look at his savant, I mean, his base running, his batting run value. I mean, think about this, right? So it was 5th percentile in 2023, Gary. It was 4th percentile last year. and it is 42nd percentile this year.
That's good.
Now,
so by the time he's like 31, he'll be good.
Get good. No.
Right.
Anyway, no. His career OPS is 670. Okay, his OPS has gone from 666 to 657. Now it's 710. The reality is Anthony Vulpi is probably a good 7th hitter. That's what he is in a lineup right now. But his shortstop, he is no longer a mainstay. He is no longer the guy, because to be fair, and I want to give Vulpi credit, because I called this and I said at the beginning of the year, you know, Gary, Volpe's not great this year. He's not in the field. He's good, and I would lean towards even average, because he misses a lot of easy ones. And just because they're not, written in the books as errors doesn't mean that that's not going to catch up with him, which it is now. But if you look, he actually won the Gold Glove a year he had a 60th percentile in fielding run value. Last year, he was elite. He had a 92nd percentile. He had plus 10 run value. Okay.
Gold Glove people act like Gold Glove is some analytically
He should have won it last
thing.
year, not
it's just
2023.
It's just a vote, guys. It just is. There are people who think Derek Jeter is the most overrated defender of all time. He has a ton of Gold Gloves. He just does.
Oh my God.
Now, mind you, and I don't care about, honestly, I don't really care about it, but it just goes to show you guys, if you're making jump throws and you're making the fancy plays, right? And all the analytically driven people are saying, well, he doesn't have any range, right? He doesn't have the strongest arm. And you look up and the analytics did say that Jeter was slightly overrated defensively. Well, okay. Well, then why is it that we hang our hats on the fact that Anthony Vulpi won a Gold Glove? Now all of a sudden it's the Bible. Oh, okay, he won the Gold Glove. He's good defensively. And by the way, I want to put this up on screen. It's not a super chat, but I just want to address
Trevino won the
it.
Platinum Glove, and they still traded him away for a relief pitcher who's 35 and who sucked.
Yeah. Oh, and Cruz?
Yeah, he was terrible.
Yeah, he was
at
the time.
He had stuff, but he was terrible. So, he won the Platinum Glove. That's like the ring of all rings. That's the glove of all gloves. I mean, they still traded him away, and they loved Trevino. So,
but people make it seem like, okay, well, you've won a Gold Glove in your rookie season, so it's solidified. The only other thing you need to work on is
that was
your
the worst
bat.
thing that could have ever happened to Vulpi, winning that
Probably.
Gold Glove. I'm telling you.
So Jeremy with the chat says, and I read this, and I obviously I didn't audibly laugh since we're here on the mic, but so Jeremy says Vulpi has the yips. Okay, tell us his career playoff numbers, Gary. Jeremy, since you listen to our podcast all the time, you would know we already have mentioned about 400 times his career numbers in the playoffs. We've already covered it, so appreciate it. And he also says when he hits 320 over the next 2 weeks with 9 RBIs, you guys will sound, you'll have a different tune. So, by the way, let me address Anthony Vulpi exactly who he is. And the tweets are actually there as well. So if you feel like going to X, you can go there and it'll be consistent.
The comment section.
Anthony Vulpi is going to have a month. This is exactly how I put it 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. He's going to be a player. And this is why, Jake, you've mentioned he's a 7-hitter in this league. This is exactly why you said it.
Yep.
Anthony Vulpi is going to be the worst baseball player you've ever seen offensively. He's going to be absolutely putrid. He has no idea where the zone's at, right? He won't understand when to swing, when not to, right? He's not going to be hitting for power. He's going to be making mistakes on the base pass. He's going to be making key errors, all things he's doing right now. And then here's the kicker. In 3 weeks, probably in 4 days, he's going to have a 3-knock day. They're going to say, okay, Vulpi had a great day today. It is what it is. Let's see how he can build off of it. Then he'll show up into the next day. He'll have a big hit in like the 7th or 8th inning of the game, and people are going to say, great job, Anthony Vulpi. Awesome, right? It's a standalone event. But you know what never happens for Anthony Vulpi at any point of his career? It's never happened, not one single time. He's never been good for an extended period of time. That, by definition, should tell you who a baseball player is. Don't tell me what he does for 2 weeks. You mentioned he's got 9 ribbies, right? Hits 320 for the next 2 weeks. What player in baseball doesn't have a 2-week stretch where he's decent, where he's good, right? People want to talk about Jazz Chisum and how atrocious he was for the first 3 actual
They're still
weeks
saying
of the season.
he's atrocious.
Right.
I don't even understand it.
But more times than not, Jazz has been good for us. He's been hurt. You can absolutely mention those things. But the point is, who are each of these players more times than not? More times than not, that's what career stats help you indicate, is that if I show up to the yard and a dude's a career 200 hitter, he strikes out a ton, career, what does it tell me if he comes out the gate hitting 6 homers in the first week of the season? It tells me a regression's coming. It tells me that. So, yeah, Jeremy, welcome into the podcast. Thank you. Welcome back again. But the point is, you are what you are most of the time. We'll be happy if Anthony Vulpi helps us win for a couple of weeks. That'd be awesome. He did it in October. We covered that already. But Jake, I guess the point here, he's got to be a better player consistently. The baseline Anthony Vulpi is somewhere here. And there's just a ceiling that people love to talk about, but they don't like to talk about where the median is. It's not good.
And I like being understanding of, yeah, okay, he's a 7 hitter in the lineup. That's not a mainstay. Like, you can give him days off and you can rotate him, right?
Right.
But I'm also not saying to DFA him. So, like, understand that. We might be hard on Vulpi, but we're just a believer in holding players accountable. And Anthony Vulpi, the last 22 games, he has a below 260 on base percentage. He has a below 200 batting average. And he has a below 600 OPS. Now, mind you, that's 75 at bats. How is that the yips? The yips is like, okay, like Judge had the yips, right? It was going on for like 2 weeks. The yips is 2 weeks. It's not.
When did the yips start being used as an offensive verbiage? The yips in baseball term. I played baseball well into college. I've never in my life.
Well, I haven't either, but I was trying to understand.
Yeah, I've never heard yips before. You know what I see it as? Streaky. It's just streakiness, which is exactly what we've described. Michael K said it. Hey, he's streaky. He's going to be ice cold tomorrow. And then next thing you know, 3 weeks from now, he'll be red hot. Everyone will be off his back. We won't even really talk about him. People won't even really give him the credit because they know what just happened a few weeks ago. So they'll just stay silent, right? And then all of a sudden, a couple people, and we'll talk on this podcast, and we'll say, hey, did you notice Anthony Vulpi? These last 10 days, he's hitting 340. Awesome. Good. He's making some plays. And the next thing you know, a month later, Jake, we've got to throw him up on the graphic again because he's ice cold. That's the problem with this player. It's brutal.
The big issue I have with Vulpi is this isn't, and we've talked about this with Rice, we've talked about this with Wells, we've talked about this with Bellinger, Dominguez, Peraza. Anthony Vulpi is not creating hard contact. They're not good at bats. They're not good. It's not good contact. He's just not, like, it's not like he's unlucky. I wanted to make that clear.
Like the difference between he and Ben Rice. Because Ben Rice doesn't have the numbers technically either. The ops is good.
Yeah.
But he's striking the ball. Like, this is a reason, to your point, Boone mentions how hard of contact Ben Rice is making. He's still hitting 225. But when you watch his at-bats, at-bat to at-bat, it doesn't look anything close to what you're getting from Anthony Vulpi. It's
like
not
Goldschmidt
close.
is crushing it even when he's out. So he's been unlucky as of late, although he hasn't been the same player as I brought up.
Yeah.
But what I find fascinating is, you know who's been literally I follow this. I follow this like a hawk. Every single night, DJ LeMahieu, find me one game he doesn't have at least 95 off the bat. Every single game, this dude's making hard contact. You could make an argument he could lead off. He's having a really good year. I don't think people are giving him enough credit. And I would go as far as to say, until I see otherwise, DJ LeMahieu should never leave the lineup. He shouldn't. When he comes out of the lineup,
I think I know why people want to, though. I think I know why people. You mentioned they don't want to give him credit. I think I get. Go ahead and finish what you were saying, because I think I know why people don't want to give him the credit.
People don't like admitting when they're wrong. We we were on top of the totem pole with like screaming from the rooftops to get rid of DJ LeMahieu and DFAM last year.
Correct.
But when it was when we really understood, and keep in mind, there was a moment in time where it looked like he was getting the cortisone shots, and we're like, I don't know. But he came up, and when he was called up, and I said it before he was called up, remember? I said, I have a feeling DJ LeMahieu is going to be the everyday starter. Like, he is going to start. I said third base when Oswaldo went down, but I didn't know that they were going to actually have the balls to move Jazz Chisum to third. Love that they did that.
That was a big surprise. It was.
I loved that. But here's the deal with LeMahieu, okay? When LeMahieu was called up, you and I instantly were like, let's see what this guy can do. He's 36. He's a former batting title guy, 2-time batting title. He hasn't been healthy since 2020, maybe 2021. But regardless, hasn't been healthy in a long time. Has played injured. Now they're saying, we're hearing from the Yankees, this guy is ready to go, right? He's not playing with any restrictions on his foot or anything like that, okay? And as soon as we heard that, we started being like, well, you know what? Paul Goldschmidt is 37, and he's kind of having that resurgence, right? And we saw that the second half of last year, the Yankees banked on the fact that he believed that he was right. The second half of last year is who he is. First half kind of, covered him up. He's a former MVP. So now you have DJ LeMahieu, who gets called up from his rehab assignment. And the first thing I bring up, Gary, he's hitting beams. This was not DJ LeMahieu before. He's hitting 95, 100, 105 off the bat. And yes, exit velo is not everything. Just like OPS isn't, just like average isn't, just like home runs are not. No stat is everything. But it is a lot of things. Exit velo tells me that if it's consistently hot off the bat, it tells me he's consistently making do on the mechanics. It tells me the bat is hitting the ball where you want it to hit. And obviously, this is a sport that is rewarding and is also a little unfair. And we talk about all the time. How many of those hits against the Angels did they just dunk in between the center fielder and the second base shortstop?
It did.
A lot, right? And then the Yankees would come up and they'd hit a beam right at the left fielder. I remember it was Ascara hit like one. It was 110 off the bat, goes right at somebody. That's baseball. So obviously LeMahieu's not going to have a hit every time he comes up and hits 110 off the bat. Sometimes, and they brought it up today with, I believe it was the Judge hit, they said, whoa, he just hit that one a little too hard. That's what they're talking about.
Yeah, they're talking about the randomness of baseball. And I do think, so part of my thought process as to why people are a little worried, right, with this DJ thing. And I don't think they'll ignore the hard contact. They know it's there. Obviously, you're getting the results. The balls are falling. But when you look at DJ, I think the one thing that we can sort of all agree on is it would be a bit overzealous of the Yankees to look at DJ and think, yes, he'll for sure be here in October healthy. Like based on his injury history, staying on the field might be a problem here. And before this hot streak started, if I had told people before he even got out there, hey, DJ, do you think he's going to be healthy at the end of the year? Pretty much anonymous. I mean, it would literally be unanimous. Everyone would say, oh, yeah, he's not going to be there. He just won't. He'll find a way to get hurt. Matter of fact, Jake, you were like, I wonder how long he'll last, right? It was a question I also had. We wanted to know. But now he's back, and Michael Kay was talking about how strong he looked, right? And hitting batting practice, and all that materialized. It was exactly correct. He went out there. He's been hitting. The range is non-existent. Defensively, he's just been very okay would be putting it lightly. But we'll take it if you're going to hit. Now, going into the deadline, are you going to trust, as we pass the deadline, to go all the way to the finish line of the regular season, going into October, you're going to get this player? I think that would be a lot to assume. That's the hard part about getting excited about this, is because if you genuinely get excited about it, it means you're putting stock in that it's going to stay. And so that's what's so hard.
We're going to get to that super chat. I want to address this. This is back when Jazz was injured and DJ LeMahieu, I don't even think was called up yet. So, yes, I absolutely stand by it too, because I wouldn't coddle prospects. I wouldn't. I watched Bryce Harper get called up from AA. He never played in AAA ball ever. And
Right.
I would have done it. And when I say something like that, I'm admitting that what I'm saying doesn't go, and newsflash, the takes I have are not takes the general public is going to have. I tend to step out the box a little bit. And I try to bring up creative situations, but it's stuff I would do because I'm aggressive in my thinking. And yes, call me crazy. I absolutely would have called up George Lombard Jr. I would have given him a shot. I don't care. If it doesn't go well, you can send him back down. Guess what? You know what? The guy that hit today on the Orioles, what's his face? Jackson Holiday. They called him up. They tried it very early, as a matter of fact. And you know what? They said, this isn't working. And it was about around the same at bats, I believe, are the same age, rather. The same age Lombard Jr. is. So, yeah, I stand by that. Would I do it right now that he's shown some weaknesses in AA? No, I would let him marinate. But before I saw that, yeah, I didn't care. Because what I try to explain in my thought process, and Gary, you know this because I've said this so many times, is that this team has not raised the bar. This is not the LA Dodgers where like they have an Andy Pages. What Pages is doing is what Jason Dominguez should be doing. It's finally time for somebody to say that. And I'll be the first one to say that. What Pages is doing in LA is what Jason Dominguez should be doing.
Yeah, when you're a top prospect, you should be expected to perform. And a lot of people just say, well, the guy's young. Why would you expect anything? Well, look around baseball, guys. There are a ton of young players who are doing something. They just 100%. Are. So, yeah, get off my screen. There's nothing better than seeing somebody who only tells you things that they disagree with. You can scram. Adam with the 20.
I like Jeremy. I mean, he supports our show, so I don't want to come off like that. I'm going to defend my statement, and I'll end it with this before we get into Adam, which by the way is a really, really good super chat for you. But they have lowered the bar so low. I mean, JD Davis last year, right? They kept playing Alex Verdugo when his launch angle was -10. Okay, same thing with an injured DJ LeMahieu. At some point or another, when you lower the bar that low, what do you have to lose to see if, like, what's the worst? Think about it. What's the worst Lombard Jr. could have done being called up? Which, by the way, they make it seem
like if he got to the big leagues and he struggled for 3 weeks, and you're like, nope, he just can't cut it. They make it seem like you just zap and Space Jam the talent right out of a young player. You're like, oh, you're going to shell shock him so much he won't even know how to play anymore. That's not how it works. It didn't happen for Jackson Holiday.
These are competitors.
I'll
do you one
ridiculous.
better. You ready for this?
Yes.
B-Boss is killing it in AAA. So conventional wisdom and everything that we're talking about here, you would have me to believe that because B-Boss couldn't cut it in the MLB the first time he was genuinely giving a shot, he's done. He's shell-shocked. He's damaged goods. He's never going to cut it. And he's hitting... I just saw it the other day. He has an over 800 OPS. He's hitting in the 290s. Like, B-Boss is fine. It's a reminder that, yes, just like Jackson Holiday, living, breathing proof from today's game, a guy that was called up, didn't cut it. They sent him down. It didn't kill him. I think it's better to fail. I mean, Jeter talked about this in his documentary. It's better to fail early on because you know now what you have to do. And especially when you're a top prospect. Bro, what is George Lombard Jr. going to be worried about? He's the top prospect. The worst thing that can happen to him is he gets traded away to another team where he's likely going to start sooner than the Yankees.
We just make excuses for if somebody gets called up and they're in their rookie season, we essentially just say outside of Aaron Judge, expect nothing. If he does absolutely nothing out there, it's just his first year. You can't make any conclusion. You can't draw any conclusion on that guy. He's just too young.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, you look around baseball, you look at the James Woods, right? You look at around the league. Take your pick. There are young players all the time giving you performance. Jackson Merrill did it his first season in the big leagues. Great player immediately, right? It can happen. It happens all over. And correct. You look around baseball, And somehow, some way, these big league teams call up these players, and they'll look up and say, oh, we'll call up Jackson Holiday. Oh, he's been underwhelming. It didn't kill him. They sent him back to the minor leagues. As you mentioned, B-Boss doing the same thing. He's hitting again. People just make the assumption that if you're in the minor leagues, it's much easier to develop. They essentially have that assumption. And there's something to be said for trusting a player and bringing him up to the major leagues sooner than maybe you were anticipating. You bring up a Spencer Jones, right? You call him up to say AAA, still not there. That puts confidence in a player. It just does. And you never know when he'll be here. So I love that you bring that up. It is ridiculous to me how little confidence or just expectation we have in young players. We just assume
they're so fragile.
They're just a baby giraffe in the Serengeti. They just can't do a damn thing. So Adam with the 20 says, Gary, you're from an elite baseball background. I appreciate it. He says, in your view, I'm almost embarrassed to even read it.
I could tell.
In your view, what is the problem with this team? And if you were the manager, how would you address it? Honestly, if I was the manager, I would just do the simple stuff. I'm looking at who are my best 9 options. And this sounds ridiculous. It sounds evergreen. But take your pick. Make your choices and then live with those choices. And then if they end up being the wrong choice, make an adjustment based on the numbers, right? The data. You can use analytics. There's nothing wrong with analytics. But when you abuse them, you get in trouble. I'm not going to show up and give a player a day off just because I feel like, oh, well, he played four days in a row. Yeah, he could use a day off. Well, everyone can use a day off. Just sit everybody. Don't play anybody. Just lay down. I wouldn't manage that way. I just play my 9 best guys, and if I look out in the field and say he looks a little banged up, he fouled a ball off his leg, right? He told me he'll play tomorrow, but maybe he could use a day. I'll give the guy a day. I'm not going to struggle with it. But Cody Bellinger's fine. He's healthy. He's ready to go. He could have played today, could have helped out, and yet we just make the choice to just not play him, right? Just for the simple standpoint of we're doing musical chairs to get Jason Dominguez some at-bats. I hate that idea. Jake, what would you do? What would you change?
Well, let me ask you this, and I understand it's different. I'm not trying to compare. I'm not trying to say we have it the same. But can you imagine? Because we literally our schedule is pretty much on the Yankees schedule. We have to watch all the games. We have to take notes. And then we stream longer than any other Yankee show because nobody streams as long as we do. So think about this, right? Imagine if you're just like, yeah, Gary needs a day. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, oh, yeah, he just...
Well, I'll tell you right now, I probably would have taken that day in game 2. When we lost that rubber match in Boston, I wanted to just like...
Yeah, I need a day.
I needed a day. It ended up being some of our better podcasts. It actually ended up being fun, but I'll tell you, there were also some big shows that we had the last week in terms of viewership.
Yes.
Where, Jake, you were like, let's get this over with.
Yeah,
and they ended up being 2 hours and 25 minutes.
I don't want to, like, I'm not going to do it. But yeah, like there'll be times where you're like, after a brutal game, that just like the way I described it, sucked the soul out of my body. Yes. I told you my family, right? Obviously, yes.
we're there's a sickness going around in my home. Now, so far, I haven't gotten it. So far.
Yes.
But mind you guys, if I'm able physically, mentally, whatever, I'm doing a show. I'm going to find a way to do the show. So is Jake. But you know when we don't show up? When we literally cannot. When it's not in our physical best interest, we cannot do the show. We won't do the show.
If we have,
we'll go solo.
Plans, we're traveling. We've always made that clear. But
could you imagine if I just said, well, Gary's done the podcast 40 days in a row. Why would he have to do it the 41st? It'd probably be better for his mental health just to, I don't know.
A day.
Go see a movie. He doesn't have to do it.
We're a little worried about, so we gotta rest the vocal cords.
Technically, I'll be more refreshed for October. Certainly, if I just take a day off once a week.
Gary's electric bill could be pretty high, so yeah, we're gonna give him a day.
Yeah, so it is frustrating, Adam. In all seriousness, though,
yes,
it's just the simple choice as a manager to play your best guys until they physically need a day off. Jake mentioned the schedule. The schedule is an important factor here. And so I want to give Aaron Boone at least some leeway here.
Yes,
he knows
definitely.
He has to find days off in between. And more times than not, you will have an off day somewhere. And Jake, I don't remember what the exact number is, but we have a lot of games in a row. That's certainly a factor.
It was 16.
16 days in a row the
They're
Yankees
off
play a
next
baseball game.
Thursday. So
next Thursday. I mean, it's a while. So
yeah.
Aaron Boone's trying to figure out how to work this, but I will say this. Playing 4 or 5 days in a row is not that bad. It's just not. And for a player who's playing well, I just find it far more important to put the hot guys on the field. And I don't mean that in a literal way.
Yeah,
but when you have yeah, it came out wrong.
Yeah.
But when you got 3 hits, you want to show up. You're excited to show up to the yard and hit again the next day. And to just show up and hit BP and they're like, yeah, you're going to sit down next to coach. I just don't think that's the effective way to go about it. And obviously Boone, he's the one who makes the decision. I have no say in it, but I wish him luck. I do.
I love that. Sit next to coach. I don't know why. That just always cracks me up. I immediately think of like Little League. It's just like a kid that like his parents or whatever yelled at him and like, go sit next to coach.
Come down, sit down next to me. You suck, kid. So Ronnie, who's been a member for 9 months. Thank you so much, Ronnie. We really appreciate that. And by the way, guys, the memberships have been great. They've been flowing in. And we'll definitely come up with a unique way to sort of reward our members because you guys are not only investing in our show in the now, but you're investing long-term in our show. This is a repeat membership. You guys have been awesome. And Ronnie's done that 9 months consecutively. So thank you for that, Ronnie.
Thank you,
He says the Rams, and this seems like it's for Jake, says the Rams have a better shot at getting Donald and Ramsey back this season than Boone putting out a common sense lineup. So yeah.
Ooh, Donald's not coming out of retirement. Ramsey might be back with the Rams, but yeah. Donald,
I don't know why he's doing all that working out, by the way. Dude, he looks ready to play.
He said he just loves it. I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, he's got, I think, maybe 4% body fat at this point.
So he loves going to the gym, huh? He should see what life's like when you never go to the gym. I go to the gym 0 times a year, and I'll tell you right now, 10 out of 10 experience.
You should. Yeah, you also have a crazy metabolism. Not all of us were blessed with that, Gary.
Yeah, I really wonder, though, what he would look like without working out. Like, would he just look like the dude from, what is it, in the Avengers, the Captain America, like before he had the transformation? If he didn't work out, what would he look like? I'd imagine he'd still be big.
Well, no, because I mean, it would go back to like his regular body type, which when he was at Pitt as a rookie, he was 6'1", I believe it was like 280, and he was more filled out. So
who is how tall did you say he was?
6'1", 280.
Yeah, who is 6'1", 280?
That's why I always say it's like Aaron Judge is like having Aaron Donald in the outfield, but he's 6 inches taller. Mm-hmm. and then he's patrolling center field and robbing home runs and all that. That's why I thought it was silly to have him in center field. Really, DeForest Buckner
look at this.
Is a better example, but
yeah, look at this super chat. I'm actually starting to change the verbiage of some of our viewers. Love language, passive aggressive, right? Yeah. Thank you for the 5. Yeah, so you've been showing up the past few podcasts, and Jake, do you see how I'm changing this? Says, thank you for the 5. Says, Grisham and Vulpi should be traded as a package deal. Call it the 2-for-1 buns special. Love that. Buns.
Oh, man.
What do you think about trading away some of our surplus? Because, by the way, when Michael K brought this up, and I love that we did get to discuss it on our show, he said it's a good problem to have, but it's still a problem. The fact that you really have 4 outfielders that you really want to play. You've got Grisham, who isn't playing that great of late, right? He's starting to pick it up again. Defense is really good. And Boone loves him, so he's playing.
Yeah.
You've got Bellinger, who's he's our best fielder in the outfield. We can play him in center. We can play him in left. He's got the versatility. He can play first. Awesome. Judge is just Aaron Judge. He's going to play. And now all of a sudden you're like, well, Jason Dominguez is my top prospect. He also can only play outfield. And by the way, he's not good at it. But he can hit. The prospect of being able to hit. What do you think about the idea? Let's throw Vulpi away in this, honestly. What do you think about the idea of trading away some of the surplus we have in the outfield? Or do you want to protect some of the depth? Like, do you consider this a good problem that you don't want to touch? Or would you get rid of one of these guys and just commit to one or the other?
Okay. I think that there is a spot available, which is Peraza. I don't know if he would clear waivers, so understand he doesn't have any more options.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like with that spot, I would go out and I would get IKF and I would start making that shortstop a timeshare with Vulpi. That's what I would do currently right now.
Okay.
Now, say an opportunity comes to the table. There's a team, you had brought up Austin Riley and Chris Sale. And let's just say the Braves are like, you know what? We still want to compete, but we also kind of want to trim the fat on our roster. And essentially having older players that don't really fit into the timeline, they decide to move those players. And in return, they get, say, you know, one of the young pitchers in the farm, or maybe they go out and they get Clark Schmidt or Will Warren. And in return, the Yankees get Chris Sale for the here and now. And then Austin Riley takes over and they send Dominguez or something like that. You had mentioned that. I could see a move like that. If I believe that the Braves were selling, which I don't know if I do, but it's tough because this is Jason Dominguez's first year. And it's funny because we're being hard on Dominguez, which is mainly, as you put it, the roster surplus, right? Because we are being hard on. We are. This is his first legitimate year starting. And now, like you said, now he's basically a rotational guy. So he only started half the year, not even. But if we're going to do that, why wouldn't Vulpi be in the a possibility? Because, I mean, you think about it, they protected and coddled Jason Dominguez more than any prospect I think we've ever seen. Think about this. They wanted to make sure until they had the perfect moment to call him up. There were multiple times last year you could have put anybody out there and they would have been hitting better than Alex Verdugo in the second half of the season.
And they still were just like, nah.
They were all in on holding off with Jason Dominguez. Did that have to do with them being a World Series contender and saying Jason Dominguez isn't ready? Perhaps. But it always felt like there was more to it. Like and that's another thing. Like Dominguez going through a full season, like I feel like in a sense, because I understand we've been hard on him and I understand with good reason. But I also see, like, if there is a future with him, I'm okay seeing this thing through. I'm not out on Dominguez at all. What I don't like is the idea that it's Dominguez that's gone and we're acting like Vulpi is untradeable, or acting like Austin Wells is untradeable.
Well, at least with Vulpi, they're making a decision. It could potentially very well be the wrong decision, right? They have no backup plan. A few people in our chat mentioned that as well. There's not really a shortstop that can take the job right now, right? It's probably something outside the box that you'd have to throw somebody over there. But having said that, with Jason Dominguez, they're not really committing to any one thing. They're just not. You mean to tell me that you're high on Trent Grisham? Okay, be high on Trent Grisham. But what do you mean by that? Do you mean that you're going to find him in there, right, as a rotational player? Or are you going to actually be more times than not starting this player, right? Are you more times than not going to start Cody Bellinger? That's what we're seeing. So it seems like our lineup more times than not has Jason Dominguez outside of the starting nine. So how is that really a choice for the future? If you're trying to develop this player, how does a player develop when there's a player on the roster, 3 players actually, that you like better at the position?
Well, it's also,
how should I buy into it? I feel like I'm being hard on him, but based on how the roster's built and how Aaron Boone wants to use it, what's the point of having a top prospect that's logjam behind 3 guys he likes better? I don't get it.
I mean, the weird thing is right now, I mean, who's the worst hitter in the lineup right now?
Anthony Vulpi.
Like, not even up for debate, right? I mean, it's
I don't even know why I looked off to the left. For a second I wanted to have the box score kind of bail me out and see a couple names. Then it really dawned on me. No, it's Vulpi. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess why are we trying to trade away outfielders and not trying to upgrade shortstop? Because
maybe they just don't think one's available that's better. Maybe they don't.
And hear me out when I say this. I don't necessarily think they should move anybody. That doesn't mean if the right opportunity comes along, I'm just like against all trades. But I'm not shopping Jason Dominguez. I'm not shopping Anthony Vulpi. I'm just rolling with the way things are. But I guess my rationale here is this. This idea that they try to go out and get Austin Riley and Chris Sale, that's to win now, correct?
Correct. Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So how does Anthony Vulpi help them win now right now when he's not a good glove and he's the worst hitter in the lineup? That's my argument. And I understand, okay, there's not like a surplus there. And I get you'd have Peraza there, whatever. But if you're trading him, then you'd likely be trading him for a guy that doesn't fit the timeline of a bad team. So theoretically, if I was trading Anthony Vulpi, which by the way, I don't care what anyone says, you could get something good for Anthony Vulpi. You could. There are probably teams around the league right now that are like, I would take that guy. I don't care that he's having a bad year. He is a Gold Glove fielder. He was elite last year in the field. I would take that guy. And so what you do is if you did want to trade him theoretically, you would go to a team that is struggling, that has a veteran at shortstop, doesn't have to be 32. I mean, it could be 28, 27, whatever. And you find that kind of happy medium where they're like, yeah, we'll take the guy who's 4 years younger, right, and has control, and we'll send this guy away, and we're not going to charge you an arm and a leg because you're doing us a favor by taking on his deal. So that's kind of why, I'm not saying to trade Vulpi, but I'm saying if we're talking about Dominguez, and I understand the surplus idea, but we shouldn't be acting like, Dominguez hasn't, but then like also give Vulpi a pass. Because I don't even know if Vulpi has a pass. I believe he does, but I tend to believe that this is more Aaron Boone than Brian Cashman.
Oh, no, and he's got the
I've
pass,
said that.
Yes. Can you list off the starters, right? Just the starters.
Yes.
I want you to list me left field, center field, right, first, second, short, third base, and catcher. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me which positions are you satisfied, like actually satisfied, that are championship level right now throughout our field? Can you please name which positions you're satisfied in?
So like that's defensive and offensive included,
yes,
right?
The total package of what you're getting out of those positions.
Because
and I don't want it to be unrealistic. It can't just be Bobby Witt Jr. everywhere. We all sort of understand this is not how baseball rosters are built. But can you list off the players that you are satisfied? Obviously, Bellinger and Judge being two of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say catcher as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I like the depth that they have. I think it's the best in baseball. Truthfully.
Okay, perfect.
And I think Ben Rice showed you he can handle his own behind the plate, and the bat could give him an opportunity to steal that job next year.
So at the very least, you think the answer is still in-house at catcher. That's perfectly
I'm also
fine
not
by me.
out on Wells, and I really was encouraged with the way Ascara swings the bat. So
okay, awesome.
Then at first base, right now,
Mm-hmm.
Paul Goldschmidt, I trust him as much as anybody in the postseason.
Perfect. So we can move on from first.
Right. And of course, then you'd have Ben Rice behind him, and you could have DJ LeMahieu. So there's depth there, right? You have guys that can play first. Second, you have DJ LeMahieu, you have Peraza, and you have Jazz Chisum. Obviously, if Jazz is playing third, he's not going to start second. I feel good right now about DJ LeMahieu. I do. But to your point, banking on him to stay healthy the whole year is a tall task. So I would say second base is still a question mark.
Perfect. Second base. Are there any other positions in the field where you're like, that position I'm not satisfied? Second base is one of them. We're still getting production right now. So the middle infield. Is there anywhere else that you can detect where you're like, we're not getting anything out of that position offensively and defensively?
I mean, obviously, Jason Dominguez defensively, but I feel like he's good enough to be in the lineup. He's not doing what I want him to do, but it's also his first year. And in a way, the rotation kind of gives you something to lean on if he doesn't work out this year, because you do have, Trent Grisham, who again has fallen off, but he's not horrible. He still can get on base. But I think Bellinger, Judge, their mainstays, and Jazz Chisum, I've told you, I think he's a top 5 third baseman in baseball. I do.
Perfect.
So
you're
I think
saying middle
he is going to become a star. I've said that.
Perfect.
I stand by it.
Shortstop and second base.
Yep.
So I don't care what any of you guys say. No, nothing about
IKF.
Anthony Vulpi. Don't care about what you say about second base. There are clear ways this Yankees team can get better, clearly. And I understand people want to wait around and see what you got in Jason Dominguez. The only way that you should trade Jason Dominguez is if you think you're getting enough value back that you genuinely can have a difference maker to win a title in 2025. If the answer is that you're not accomplishing that goal, you shouldn't trade him. It's just that simple. And that's the way trades should always work, especially when you're a contender. If you're trading away a player that has a lot of potential, you should never trade that player unless you're getting something sure thing that's absolutely going to help you in the immediate future. That's all it is. You should love the player that's walking through the door. It should be a can't miss talent. And if you don't get it, you don't have to trade a player, but you can at least be open to the concept. People, I think, here, you would consider trading Jason Dominguez. You must think he's going to hit 230 in 3 years. No, I don't. I think he's good enough in the future, or at least has the potential to do so, enough where he has that type of value on the market. And I think the Yankees have 2 holes. 2. We can complain all we want about what Austin Wells is doing, the fact that Ben Rice doesn't play enough at catcher, whatever you want to say about it. The Yankees' real way to get better is being significantly better in the middle of the field. DJ is picking up the slack right now. We'll take that 100%. We obviously need more depth behind that. But shortstop is where our real issue resides. I mean, it is not good at all. It's not good. It's not good defensively. It's not good on the base pass. It's not good offensively. It's bad. So, yeah, Adam with the super with the 20. Jazz is everything that is wrong with the Yankees. I disagree personally. He says he is all flash, no substance. I feel like he's giving actually a lot of substance of late, and Jake has definitely mentioned this. Remember Jeter, Mattingly, Munson, Bernie, Tino, Posada, right? So those were Yankees. Jazz is horrible. He has no intangibles. So I'm going to answer this really quick, and Jake, curious to know what you think. When I look at this, I feel like this is in a way getting too wrapped up into what the Yankees way is and just not letting go. Some things do have to change and adjust. You saw obviously the shaving policy, right? The typical Yankee, clean shaven, professional, going to answer all the questions the right way. They're going to sit there tidy in front of their locker. And there's nothing wrong with liking that approach. There's nothing wrong with loving that approach. But I won't reject every player that's a Yankee who's not going about their business that way. When Jazz is playing well, and he is right now, objectively speaking, not the best situational hitter, I'll acknowledge all of that 100%. But Jake, he's too talented to reject him off of this roster and on this team. He can help them in a major way. I think if he can play the way that he should, in October, you'll really be honestly, you'll be thankful he's here. We just got to see him do it.
Yeah, I appreciate the super chat, Adam, of course. I completely disagree. I think Jazz is exactly what the Yankees needed for years. They tried this with Josh Donaldson. He didn't have the production. They tried this with Rodon. Rodon's fire was too much. It was distracting, and now you've seen him become a monk practically on the mound.
I love that.
So they've tried this before. Alex Verdugo. Yeah, it's all fun and games, and you have 4 chains and all, when you're hitting 271 and you look good. But when you're constantly beating rocks in the infield and, you're hitting 170, no one cares. Jazz Chisum had one bad start this year. And keep in mind, he was still hitting home runs. He had like 7 home runs. He was tied for the major league lead at one point. He gets hurt. He comes back. He's been the best hitter on the Yankees in June. Like,
yeah, I mean, take a look at, I'm going to kind of go out of order. I hate doing this, but obviously you see it right here, right? And Marcos with the super with the 5, thank you so much for that. Says Jazz and Vulpi need to stop swinging for the fences and try to get on base and wreak havoc. The difference of them and being a World Series contender or not, Jazz Chisum had 2 knocks today.
I'm telling you right now, and I appreciate Marcos, the 5. People are seeing him whiff, because like when he misses, it looks bad. He's got a terrible swing and miss swing, right? People are remembering and they're cherry picking the moments he doesn't hit for whatever reason. But when he does hit, no one says anything.
It is a frustrating out. He had 2 hits today, he had 2 yesterday.
Yeah.
He had a hit the day before. So I agree with you, Marcos. I do, but not from that he needs to stop swinging for the fences. That was my takeaway a few weeks ago before the injuries. That was my takeaway. I don't think
he's doing it anymore, and that's why he's doing what he's doing.
He mentions the 70% swing. Would you have described Jazz Chisum a month ago as taking a 70% swing?
No, he was swinging for the fences.
No, he was swinging for the fences. Right. So this seems like the correct take, just a little outdated. Of late, Jazz Chisum his last 15 games hitting 350. He is getting on base. He is running the bases. So in that way, yes. Vulpi, I can't even say he's swinging for the fences. He doesn't know what he's swinging at. I just don't think... You
sent me that. Oh, my God.
Oh, where it's a freeze frame and the ball is the top of my mic and his barrel is literally here. You should never be able to, as a contact player, to miss a ball by that much. Like, very seldom. It was bad. It was really bad. So, Marcos, I half agree. But on Jazz, I just don't. I think Jazz is sort of... We're just not giving him his due of how much his game's changed. His on base, his last week is almost 500.
Well, and also you had brought this up a few episodes. I say a few, it's probably 20 episodes ago at this rate.
Probably.
But remember when you were talking about how like it can be deceiving where it looks like it's an uppercut swing and then it takes you to go back and watch it in slow motion. It's actually not a fully flat swing. You know what I mean? It's like
I understand what you're saying because people, when Josh Donaldson described hitting, I feel like this was the change in baseball when he got on that MLB Network thing and he's like, hey, if your coach tells you to hit line drives or swing down on the ball, tell him no. And he was talking about launch angle, right? It was like sort of our public introduction to that. Well, Anthony Vulpi, right? And you look at the contact, there's a lot of weak contact in the air. Weak.
Yes.
Jazz Chisum, that first month of the season where he was hitting 100 he was hitting. There was a lot of weak pop flies and strikeouts, right? You could describe it as an uppercut, a home run swing, if you will. Jazz Chisum, while his swing and misses look bad, his contact is on a line. It is. It's hard contact, either on a line or on the ground, and he's finding his way on base. So I love what Jazz is doing right now. This is the player I was hoping he would be. And yeah, he's sprinkling in some home runs, but when Jazz walks up to the plate now, I think, okay, I want to see some action here. I don't think is he going into the seats.
Yes, and by the way, this is when I brought up like kind of different, but I'll relate it and you'll understand why. When I bring up trading for Freddie Peralta, he would be like when they got Jazz Chisum, a guy that's controllable but can also help you right away and is still young and effective.
I love that trade idea too. That'd be a great trade for the Yankees.
I'm seeing it now. Like, you know, the New York Times had an article, the big board. Freddie Peralta was number 2 on the trade deadline big board. Mind you, I was talking about this guy before he was even a trade deadline option. And then who's number 1?
Yeah.
Jarren Duran, which makes sense.
Yeah, I think San Diego was calling it. They need a left fielder. They just do. The Yankees will probably just trade for Duran. They're probably going to trade for another guy, and they're like, he's just another. We need the depth. It's a good problem to have.
Oh,
Can you
my
imagine?
God. Oh, Jesus. Yes. I mean, I wouldn't complain because Duran would be really good.
Sure.
Honestly, Duran would be a perfect fit with Bellinger and Judge. But anyway.
Yeah, he'd also be sitting every 3 days.
Don't get me started.
They'd find a way.
And then MLB.com Tom also had him as well. So there are people that think this guy's going to get traded. Like, it looks like, yeah. And for a while, it didn't feel that way. And I haven't checked in because, I mean, obviously we've seen how things can change in the MLB in 2 seconds. Because I remember I was like, yeah, the Brewers are terrible. And it was like, oh, the Brewers are over 500.
Yeah,
so
we also like swept them to start the season. Everyone's like, "Oh, the Yankees still suck. They're using the torpedo bats and they're playing the Brewers. The Brew Crew suck."
I'm so
like,
glad the torpedo bats are like gone, because the only people that bring up torpedo bats now are normies that don't know the game. Like, and you see it instantly. But like, there, if I was working at a grocery store still, because people will just make like small talk when you work at a grocery store, I would probably have gotten a million times, "Oh, what do you think about those torpedo bats?" Like, I'd just be like, it's the same thing.
Is that what you get? I always get the pitch clock. Every time if I run into somebody in public, yes. I'll run into somebody at the mall and they're like, "Oh, I love you on X. What do you think about the pitch count?" I'm just like, I'm just literally like walking around with my daughter and my wife.
All right,
like,
can I say this? What the hell is the pitch clock doing? It was a 3.5 hour game. Like, all
the only time I didn't like the
are.
pitch count, I went to a spring training game and it felt like the game was over in 10 minutes. It was crazy. You didn't even have a chance to get a hot dog. I hated it. My wife's like, "We've got to get an icy. We've got to get this." And by the time we got back to our seats, it was like
you're
the
just
fifth
carrying
inning.
all this stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, it's over."
I'm like, "Wait a minute, where'd the starters go? They're all gone." It was brutal.
Yeah.
The 610 Stig, thank you for the 5. Says Vulpi plays every day because they have literally nobody else. Jake, I kind of introduced this earlier, and I do agree with it. They play shortstops besides Peraza, and Cashman has a problem admitting he is wrong. I don't necessarily agree that Cashman can admit he's wrong, but is he willing to change his ways? That I will agree with, is that Brian Cashman does things very similar, like status quo. Whatever your expectations are, he doesn't usually veer off of course. But as far as shortstop, yeah, no, I agree. The Yankees don't really have a ton of options at shortstop. Definitely, there's not really a player in the Yankees roster you're like, "Oh, he'll be better at shortstop." A lot of it's going to have to come at the deadline, and maybe you can say that was part of the issue with this offseason, and there were a lot of bright spots as well, like, right, Fried and Bellinger and Goldschmidt, but why didn't the Yankees maybe bring in somebody who can help take some pressure off of Anthony Volpe? It seems like he's just out there on an island and he's struggling.
No, I agree with what you're saying. And appreciate the super chat, Stig. I would say this, because I also, while I've said, yeah, they could go out and get IKF and do timeshare with Vulpi, it's not easy for me to say that. I am pro prospects. This is how I want you to build a team. But I don't want you to just build a team around prospects for the sake of saying, we're homegrown. No, I want them to be like Aaron Judge, like Austin Wells in August, like Vulpi in April of last year, right? Oswaldo Cabrera, April of last year. But this is what we're talking about. We're saying April of last year and August. I want to see consistency. And obviously, it's hard to be consistent in the MLB. It is. Not everybody is. That's why guys like, Jose Ramirez are just so few and far between, because they're just always the same player every single night. But at some point or another, it's not benching Vulpi, but at some point or another, when he's struggling like this, you're saying, yeah, let's go down with the ship. No, when you can't win. Like, this is why he's on the 40-man roster. Jesus Rodriguez. Okay, he can play third, he can play catcher. I would have called him up by now, and I would have played him at third, and I would have moved Jazz to shortstop on the days I don't play Vulpi. Because Jazz literally was a shortstop coming up. That was his
sending the message
natural position.
Yeah, you're sending the message that Jazz is not our everyday shortstop, or whoever else you want to put over there.
Yep.
It's sending the message that if you have an 0 for 24, the whole reason you play is to avoid 0 for 24. That's actually the whole point.
Yes.
That's why old school fans of this game watch and say, I miss the days when guys used to hit 300. I like my leadoff hitters to hit 300, right?
Not
and
220 like Kyle Schwarber.
Right. Most of the time, guys, the difference between a 300 Hall of Fame hitter and just a player who's good a lot, but then he's also ice cold other times. The difference is the great player doesn't have those cold streaks quite as much. They just don't.
Yeah.
They just don't. Guys like Chipper Jones back in the day, like some of the great players, whoever you want to name, Tony Gwynn would be a great one. Tony Gwynn, what makes him so great is that you're not going to look up and see a 2 for 36. They find ways out of those cold stretches. That's the beauty. That's the talent. How fast do you make adjustments? That's what hitting is. You show up one at bat. Okay, they want to pound me inside. All right, okay, great. I'm going to maybe get off the plate. Maybe I'm going to look out over the plate and take that pitch inside. All right. And you just continuously learn every at bat. And then when you say, okay, this hitter doesn't get out the same way, he's constantly learning and adjusting, those are the great players. That's it. That's the difference between Judge and other good players in this league. Really good players is he just learns faster. He just does. So, and Daniel, this is behind. So Daniel with the 5 says he asked for your Joey Badass album. Yeah, that is what it is. And I've never even heard of that person.
Yeah, your favorite Joey Badass album. Because I think he had mentioned, yes. Autocorrect. I don't know how Bass turned into Day, but I
haven't seen Fave
sucks.
since like Fave 5. I think that was like T-Mobile. But Jalen Sestero, who's been a member with us for 9 months as well, just like Ronnie says,
Joey
Boone has
Badass.
zero feel. Yeah, I don't know who that is. Boone has zero feel for the game. Didn't start Belly, who's been hot, and I didn't like going to Weaver. He's been great, but fresh off the IL, that was a big ask. So I was fine with the idea of Weaver coming out there. I know Boone before the game had mentioned it's going to be matchup related. Weaver, Williams, they're going to split the closing role. They're just going to.
I don't like that either.
I don't love it. I don't love that.
I don't hate it.
Because I don't love the messaging of it.
But
I don't like that. I like the idea of just having somebody who's going to be your closer and then knowing somebody who's not. But I won't dive too much into that. But as far, obviously, Cody Bellinger, major problem. Jake, thoughts?
I was okay with it. I'm not trying to revise, everything based on just like what ended up happening. I know, you gave up 2 runs and had the long ball. I get that. But I think it's one of those things that it's like, all right, when is this team putting you in a position where you're blowing out a team enough for him to come in? And also, Boone told us how he felt about Weaver, a guy that can still be the closer, right? They're both going to close. Why would you bring him in a non-leverage situation? You want to actually build him up back into that high leverage pitcher he is. My biggest thing has always been Luke Weaver is a 2-inning guy. He can give you 2 innings of really quality work. So why would you just... that's my thing. I think Devin Williams, the way he's been pitching, and I sent it to you, and I'm going to find it. I sent it to you earlier today. The stats. They were good.
He's been really good of late, and you can justify
2.79 ERA.
Yeah, you can justify keeping
whip.
him at closer. It seems like he's figured it out. Just the other day, I think it might have even been 2 days ago, yesterday, he struck out the side. So
since
the
April
airbender
28th,
is bending now. So we can finally draw that conclusion. The 6'10 Stig, we're actually catching up on the supers. We're doing good here. Thank you for the 5 in supporting this channel. We really appreciate that. He said it would be nice for them to pick a damn lineup. So you see the theme here and let it ride for a month with hot, cold streaks being the caveat to change it, right? The feel, the human element there, a reactionary manager, the backup catcher 2 times a week. So yeah, I think we agree with that completely.
I mean, at this rate, they should just throw, pick it out of the hat. Just put Judge in the 3rd in the lineup and just pick it out of the hat at this point.
Someone sent it to me on X today. They said it feels like the Yankees just play 52-card pickup, and that's how they determine their lineup.
What if it was Boone sitting there with the magic 8-ball, and he's like, should I put Paul Goldschmidt in the cleanup?
Hey, guys,
hole?
tomorrow when the lineup's announced, can you please follow me on X and send me an AI portrait of Aaron Boone drawing cards out of a hat in like somehow, some way?
No, it'd be funnier with the magic 8-ball, because think about
let's
how
use
long
some AI
that
for good.
would be.
Yeah, because Jake and I are not huge fans of AI, but use AI for I'm tired of seeing like the monkey running around, all the stupid AI stuff. But Orlando with the 5, or Orlando Robles, thank you for the 5.
Thank you, Orlando.
What an indignity it would be if I didn't even think about the storyline. We let the Rays obviously use George Steinbrenner Field, a hurricane, obviously real reason to provide this opportunity. I will tell you, if we go to George Steinbrenner Field in October and they are hosting games and we're coming out the wild card, we have failed miserably. Like, we'd be down treacherous. And yeah, Orlando, there'd be no excuse whatsoever for us not to win this division. We're spending, maybe we're not as much as we would like, but we're still spending a ridiculous amount of money in comparison to the Rays. If you lose the race to them, we should be ashamed.
Yeah, that is not excusable. Inexcusable is what someone would say. Apex, thank you for the 2. I just don't trust Devin more than Luke. I do right now. Devin is on a mission right now. You can see it. The confidence is there. Why clip his wings when you know he's finally flying, if you will? You know, it's like, all right, this guy's finally doing what you wanted him to do, what you traded players that were supposed to be a part of this. You traded them for him. And he's finally putting out the output, or at least showing you that he can. And now you want to mess with it? Basically, what I've learned in baseball is, especially baseball, when things are going well, don't change them. Like, oh yeah, Aaron Judge is the best hitter in baseball. Don't give him a full day off. Keep him in the lineup as a DH. He doesn't want the day off. Don't give him a full day off. Sure enough, he gives him a day off. He was miserable in a series that they needed to win against the Boston Red Sox. He is just now coming back from that. Cody Bellinger, right? That's the problem. And then you can look in the past when they've actually skipped starts or they've moved the rotation around, and all of a sudden now everything was good with this one pitcher, but you took him out of his rhythm by one day and he looks miserable. These players, more than anybody, baseball players are creatures of habit. LeBron James can roll out of bed and score 40 any given night. But Aaron Judge can't just roll out of bed and hit 3 home runs. It's not, right? It's not like common.
Yeah, because otherwise we should just build a lineup, build a great team, and just let Aaron Judge and let 2 or 3 players that you really want to have in October, just let them sit on the sidelines. Yeah. 0% chance of getting hurt, and then just roll them out in October. Obviously, that would be ridiculous because you're going to need them. Exactly. But the point being is that you can't just bubble wrap guys. You just play the best players every day. If they're hurt, banged up, that happens. That's baseball. You can't. We'll put value into players who can find ways to stay on the field, but to just sit them makes no sense. And Ninja Hot Dog, love the picture of the dog, as we always mention. Welcome aboard as a YouTube member with Yankees Unloaded. Thank you for that. And let's get into our ProfitX picks. And make sure, guys, if you sign up with ProfitX, you use the code YANKSU. If you just sign up, it doesn't do us a ton of good, but YANKSU does. We'd greatly appreciate it. Who's on the mound for us tomorrow? Because I know Rodon just pitched. We just saw Fried. Who is it?
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't even get a chance to bring up that point. You just wasted another Max Fried start. Woohoo!
Honestly, it's fine.
Losing those games.
We've been wasting
really
starts.
Bother me.
Oh, it's an early start tomorrow?
No. No.
An early start on a Saturday? What are we
smoking? That's on brand pretty much, but Clark Schmidt versus Zach Eflin.
Thank you, Ninja.
Really encouraged by the way Clark Schmidt has pitched as of late. Schmidt he's got a 1.4 ERA in the month of June. And he had a 3.14 ERA in the month of May. So, I mean, he's really pitching well now. He's settling in. I think that ERA goes below 3 tomorrow. I think Clark gets that thing below 3. The issue's never been whether or not I trust him when he's on the mound. It's when he's not on the mound. Like how much can he perform? But
yeah, that frequency there is just not good. But when he does pitch, he's usually fine. The command was not good at the beginning of this year. It's gotten much better.
5.5 strikeouts.
Yeah, he's running into Baltimore.
The
Yankees have to find a way to win tomorrow. They just do. And Gunnar Henderson, he came in, he pinch hit, he was effective today. You assume he's going to be starting tomorrow. It's not going to help Clark, but you got to find a way. You want to go into the postseason, you got to beat teams like Baltimore. Baltimore's not a good team this year. I know people can say, oh, you don't write them off. They stink. They're not good.
Yeah, no. Good. I mean,
come on now.
At this point in time, they need some, and it's happened before. Didn't the Twins win like 26 games in a row? I mean, anything's possible, but this is just not a good baseball team this year.
It was like 12, but obviously there's like context to a lot of win streaks in baseball. You run into the Rockies. We saw that with the Mets. The Mets are on a 7-game losing streak, I believe it is right now. But earlier this year, that they were like, hey, there's a 10-game win streak. Well, yeah, they played the Rockies 2 series in a row. Gives a rip. Who cares? Doesn't matter. And I know we played the Rockies and didn't sweep them, but you guys get the point. There's context to all this. We've got to beat the Orioles. Take care of business.
Yeah. Jazz struggles against Eflin, by the way. Really bad numbers against him. Oh, we're talking a 327 OPS, but...
Heck yeah. Christopher with the 2 says, just sent my AI picture. That's what we like to hear. And Yankee Fangirl for life. Welcome aboard, becoming a member.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for that. We really appreciate it. And like we said before, we've got to find a way exactly how to get our members involved. We will do a members-only giveaway at some point here in the future. And giveaways, we won't announce those exactly yet. But Jake, I know we're probably going to be giving away a jersey, right?
Yes.
That should be fun.
Yes. So we'll be giving away a jersey to a lucky subscriber. And I think at some point we want to do something for our members as well. But we're going to start off with subscribers. We're getting closer to 7K. We might even be there right now. I don't know. Probably not, but I haven't checked. At 10,000 subscribers, we'll be so we'll initiate the giveaway within the next day or so.
Well, I guess the question is we have to ask our audience of like whose jersey they'll want, right? I mean,
that's a good comment question.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. So we're picking the Yankees. We're not going to pick against the Yankees on this channel. We're just not. But do it with ProfitX. We'd greatly appreciate that. Of course, using our code YANKSU. Drop in the comment section.
Oh, and total bases, Cody Bellinger. He's coming back with reckless abandon.
You don't think he'll just be ice cold? He didn't play.
He has 1,000 OPS against Eflin. I mean, to be fair, he probably played every single day until recently. But yeah,
that is correct. Absolutely.
I think he does go over 1.5 total bases.
Okay.
So that's what I would say there. But yeah, comment section. How about this? Drop your favorite current player on the Yankees. I don't think we've asked that one before.
Whose jersey would you want in a giveaway if you could win? Right?
Yeah.
If you could snap your fingers and you've won a free jersey, what player would you want? Do you already own Aaron Judge's jersey? Obviously, a ton of them sell for a good reason. He's the best hitter of this generation. Do you own one already? Or do you want an up-and-coming player? Do you want to take the risk on getting Jason Dominguez's number? Do you think that number will change? Let us know in the comment section. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure you do so and hit the bell to be notified when we go live. We go live after every single game, and we'll be on here a lot longer than we ever anticipate. We've been here for 2 hours already. But you guys have been great. Thank you guys, all of our super chatters, all of our new members. And of course, make sure you guys like this video.